Welcome to another episode of Please Feel Free. I'm one of the hosts, Kevin Soldo, and
I'm Taylor Palmer. Good to see y'all.
This week's guest, we have, I want to do a proper intro for you because for so many reasons, but we have a longtime friend, fantastic role model for the community, and an overall great human, owner of the Corner Comedy Club, Mr. Joe Tuccitto. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, there you go.
Welcome.
Yeah, man, thanks for doing this. We appreciate.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy to have your input on this because I feel like, especially considering how long we've known each other, I feel like you're a guy that has, especially in the last little while, experienced a high level of freedom. Done a lot of things to be just a natural human, man. Just getting around in life and doing the things that you see fit for whatever is happening in your life.
I could agree to that. Ever since I embarked on opening the club, I already felt free. Because I used to work construction for 13 years, so just the ability to be my own boss.
Yeah,
but also in a field of something that I love to do, that was a sense of freedom in itself, for sure. And it's a huge foundation of what the whole club is built on. Free speech.
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel fit to be your guest.
Yeah, I feel like, man, there's a big list of people that we've had that we want to converse with, that we want to have conversations with. We don't want this to just be another podcast of comedians, just getting comedians, and then just always getting silly with comedian talk. We wanted to kind of make it.
There's a purpose here.
Yeah, trying to put a message out, bigger
That's
message.
Good, man. I'm down with it already.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're a part of this. Do you feel like what's your take on life now outside of your own personal freedoms? Do you feel like you've had to go through this whole scenario as a business owner? Mm-hmm. What's your take been on it? If you had to relay the message
on, so what's my take on the current status of society right now?
No, more just get into it if you want, but also more just a focus on you as a business owner in terms of do you feel like we're in a funny business to begin with, but do you feel like there's been
definitely as a small business owner and the type of business that I fall under, which is live performance art. When the pandemic was all being implemented, or when it happened, and then the rules were being implemented, regulations, rules, mandates, whatever you want to call them, not laws.
Not laws.
Yeah, I definitely felt singled out.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of people. I'd always remind myself, everyone is dealing with the same crisis. But there was this little thing inside my head saying that no, this hurts me more, though. You know what I mean? Being inconsiderate, really, of other people's personal struggles. But most certainly, the classification of the type of business that I'm under literally was on the very bottom of the list of quote unquote essential services.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even able to thrive when restaurants could still thrive.
Right.
I was completely shut down. Right. So I definitely felt singled out, and I was angry, irritable, discontent in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. And I like to blame the outside world for everything that was happening. I felt like certain freedom was taken away, for sure.
Yeah.
And I had to struggle with this thing in my mind where the anger led to me saying that this is my right to run this business. But a different part of me was a bit more humbled with acknowledging that it is also, I've always been privileged to do so.
Sure.
So I get caught in between the middle of what is my right and what is my privilege, right?
Right.
But regardless of where I firmly stand on what our rights are as individuals and as people who are allowed to go and make a name or a business for themselves. I have a lot of opinions on what our rights are, but I still try to live in the privileged state of mind and and look back at it and say just how privileged I was to have even been doing this.
Sure. So it leaves you with a
gratefulness for it all.
Okay.
Because especially now that we're back in operation,
Yeah.
and even though I lost my locations due to the pandemic, well, Niagara Falls was done before, but regardless, I had 2 thriving locations in Toronto that I lost them. I was blessed to find this location. It was bittersweet because upon opening, the very first day of opening, we were entered into this long, terrible lockdown that happened in October 2020.
That never ended.
That never ended, and it's still not fully, the grip
Still
isn't
lingering.
fully, it's still lingering. But I'm here, and the shows are operating at a limited capacity. So I'm more or less just like not, like the part of me wants to be like, yo, but it's our right to be able to do this and that and whatever. Right now, I'm just living in the privileged state, and that keeps me humble and that keeps me thankful that I'm still doing it. As far as like how to navigate when things progress and further like restrictions are placed or whatever have you, all I can do right now to keep my sanity about the whole situation is just live one day at a time.
Yeah. And
take it one day at a time, right?
That's all we can do. Like literally, you cannot plan for the next week right now.
And that's why there's even like upgrades and certain things that I want to do to the club and have all these grandiose plans or whatever. But I'm I am fearful of something happening like a lockdown again. And I don't want to put, money into a place where it's just going to be wasted. Yeah. So by living day to day, it just allows me to focus on what the task is at hand, the week at hand, the current situation that we're dealing with, and really try not to live in Tomorrowland or Yesterville. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's helping me a lot in that sense.
Do you think that we'll get back to a point where we get back to a level of cowboyishness, where we do a little, where it becomes like that outlaw comedy again? Like, you think there's a...
Well, I think that the club was always based on a foundation that had that feeling behind it anyway. Yeah. People in the comedy community know that the Corner Comedy Club, no matter which side of the coin you were standing on, it was the Corner Comedy Club seemed to be some sort of this black sheep comedy club in the industry. Very rarely recognized by, major festivals and stuff like that, and carried a reputation of being a quote-unquote boys club, not very welcoming, very exclusive, not inclusive. So indirectly, just by starting this with the foundation based on this free speech platform, it attracted a type of comedy that was very much against the grain or whatever. Yeah. And just naturally, organically, what spawned out of that was all that reputation. Yeah. So I think it's always had that outlaw thing about it. But now I think it's even more important than ever. Yeah. Because of...
it feels that way, man. The people that laid the foundation before us. It feels like it's getting to that boiling point again. Like we're... the speech is being limited more and more.
It's being limited. It's being monitored.
Yeah.
This is Canadians.
Parented
and everything that we say and do is being judged more than ever by our government, by our employers, by our teachers, by our authority figures. And now it's even gotten to the point where the judgment is passing on a human-to-human level. Even between families, I've seen things in my family divided on certain, where you stand on this rule or that rule or whatnot. But I'm even noticing it that complete strangers have the audacity to judge another stranger simply based on their medical preferences now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone is out there judging. And it's almost set up in such a way where, like, if I'm doing and enforcing all the things that I'm told to be doing, that I'm holier than thou. Yeah. I can go and yell at a guy at a fucking...
Now you can judge.
Yeah, I could judge a person or a guy or a girl at a restaurant or inside of a shopping mall or something because they're not wearing a mask, and tell them, look, you're making people sick, you're putting people at risk, and the person that's doing that could be like 300 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, the common sense contradiction, hypocrisy.
yeah, or killing
yeah.
themselves in any which way. I'm
Yeah.
not fat shaming whatsoever, but it's like, somebody can go and judge you on your medical preferences when they're completely destroying themselves.
Yeah,
with-
like smoking a cigarette while
Smoking
like,
a cigarette.
eating a fucking
Yeah.
Big Mac,
or
like,
eating a Big Mac, or
yeah.
doing drugs and alcohol, like
Yeah.
substance abuse, and just being sick people.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And now they feel like oh, if I put this mask on, or if I follow the rules, or if I call out someone who doesn't get the jab, then I'm holier than thou, and I don't have to face my problems. It's very convenient because
Yeah.
fear spreads like crazy, right?
Like wildfire.
Like
yeah.
fucking wildfire. Fear spreads, and they've known this. Governments have known this. People who try to control people know this. I worked for a construction company that pretty much owned their employees based on fear tactics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember being in that.
And
in
it
that
spreads.
cycle.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
spreads so quick. It's like
But
if,
there's
if people can force these things,
Yeah.
whether it's voluntarily or not, it's kind of like self-coddling themselves in a way, because they stop and say, well, I'm helping.
Yeah.
Think of like
Yeah.
Ralph Wiggum.
Exactly.
I'm helping. Right?
Yeah.
And now they don't have to be afraid of all the shit that they're doing to contribute to everyone's sickness and their own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But
don't
there's
have to
a-
look at the truth. The truth is so deep and dark and wide. There's so much to look at. It's like I feel like once people think they open that door, they're like, oh man, I don't know if I want the rest. that
Yeah,
comes
it's
with
scary
that.
for people to look in the mirror, and also most people just don't look past their own nose. I know I used to be like that in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
I'm so in my head. You know what I mean? I'm not even looking past my own nose to see the reality of the situation, right? It's like
Wow, that's
virtue
very deep.
signaling all kinds. For me, it wasn't a coincidence that when all this pandemic stuff was happening, there are like 1, 2, 3 of the most like dividing matters going on with social justice movements, without having to name any specifically. We all know what they are. Why did those all have the biggest spotlight on them at the same time that this mass hysteria was?
Right.
It's because if anyone wasn't getting divided on this thing, then they could divide them on whatever other matter.
Yeah.
It's divide and conquer, man. Like,
Yep, that's the name of the game. If it's
So-
not black and white, it's male and female, it's vaxxed or non-vaxxed, it's
Yeah.
fucking, it's all, take your pick.
So here's a question then to ponder over. Let's discuss. What do you think? Because I find myself in those predicaments too, man. Where you try to put a message out, you try to tell people about something, you try to go like, hey, this is what's up. Try to pay attention to this stuff in life. But then at times you go, it feels like it's divisive, right? You're still continuing the divide. So what do you do to bring unity where, like in my head, man, I feel like the unity was always here, right? Because you take a group of people, everybody feels a certain different way, you discuss certain things, and you generally, if you do it well enough, you get everybody on board. Whether they were or were not, you get them on board with an idea. And then they share a laugh, and now you break down all these walls. If it's racism, you break down racism because you go, yeah, we're all laughing at the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like a bunch of group of people. And even in health, like I legit lived a life where I was under the impression that laughter is the best medicine.
yeah.
So then to take that away during this time where you go, people's health is in jeopardy more than ever before, in my brain, I would default to go, okay, so we need laughter the most.
Yeah, we need more
Right.
humility. We need more
Yes.
laughter. I read this quote somewhere. It's just like, laughter is to life what shock absorbers are to cars.
Eee.
Oh, wow.
I like
Right?
that. Yeah.
So it's very important for sure. And like just feeling happy,
Yeah.
like they've done studies that people who are happy in their mind like have a better chance of fighting off disease, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Negative
Yeah,
thought,
yeah.
negative energy allows negative things to grow.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Stress
it
and
makes
fear.
it makes perfect sense that the things that brought the most happiness and opened up people's hearts and minds and souls were deemed the most dangerous things
Yeah.
to do
Yeah. Yeah.
in this crazy fucking time.
It
right?
really, I'm a
true.
kooky guy to begin with, but that didn't seem like a very much of a coincidence.
It is, yeah,
You
for
know,
me, it didn't seem like a
it
coincidence
didn't-
either. It's just like
Yeah.
there's still 300 people walking around in a Walmart.
Yeah,
What are you telling me that people can't go out and enjoy themselves, right?
I know.
And then even now with like things being open, like everything as far as rules and mandates go with like these conditions with COVID, and I fucking hate it. But they're all they all contradict themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. One
I've
after the other.
Heard you talk about it on stage. It's like I could walk into this place, I need my mask on, but then when I sit down, I can take it off.
Yeah,
Am I not still in the same four walls or something?
it drives
I
me
know.
nuts, man. You know what it is to me too. What bothers me the most, it makes me feel like a moron. Where you go like, well, am I that dumb that I just see it this blatantly and then nobody else is calling it out? So it's like I have to say something because it's like nobody sees it. We're talking about germs, airborne diseases. I'm such a moron because I think that something doesn't add up if you sit down and you go, okay, you can take it off now. You're having a drink. It won't get you. It won't. Like the stuff. Okay, so going back to what we were saying.
Yeah.
What do we do to bring it together? What are, because everything is divide and conquer, and divide and conquer is the easy story.
Yeah.
Love is the answer. That's the easy solution, but
Sure.
it's easier said than done.
100%.
What do
Things
we
that are
do?
simple are not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've learned lately. It's
Yes.
just like, this is simple, not easy.
Yes.
People confuse it too.
And it's not meant to be easy either. It's
No.
like simple is what you want, but for it to be, it needs to be work for you to appreciate it.
Yeah. See, people like the outcome of like the fluffy ideals, right?
Yeah.
But nobody wants to do the work.
Yes.
You know, easy relates more to the fear. And
so
like
true.
hard relates more to the love.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
really you would think it's opposite, right? Love
No.
should be easy.
It's easier
That's
to hate
true.
than it is to love.
100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
And to
Steve,
truly
man.
love and make something work, it takes a lot of work. Like you're gonna have to
100%.
work at it all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it
And
takes a lot of self work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and stop trying to change the outside world
Yeah.
and change what's inside of you, right? Because, you know, this reminds me of stories that you hear where like, you know, and it, like take the Holocaust for instance. Now there was someone that was so in control of their thoughts and their minds and their hearts that even while in a death camp, they were happy, joyous, and free.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah,
that
yeah.
100%. I met a lady in Germany when I traveled throughout Europe in my early 20s. It was a woman that was like a second aunt to my ex at the time, and or my girlfriend at the time. My ex now. Does make sense?
Yeah, you travel with your ex.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. No, but she said she had this saying, and you know, she was all part of like, you know, Nazi Germany or whatever, and she was locked away at one point, and she said that the only thing that kept her sane was her memories. And I would never forget what she said, that her memories are a paradise. So what am I getting at here is that amidst all this chaos and confusion, we have a simple choice laid out in front of
Yeah,
us
yeah.
when we're presented with new information or new situations that are coming to really tax our freedom, our happiness, our joy, our love. And when that thing happens, like we have this way of just going autopilot, right? Like we're all flying this plane in our minds, right? And for far too long, the majority of us have just literally had it on the autopilot function and is just willing to accept any kind of thing that happens. So the new challenge, the new problem arises, and in that moment, we make an instant decision. Now, the people that are just running on autopilot just go back onto the auto fear. So I'm going to go and act accordingly
Yeah.
based on this fearful thing that is occurring.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go and close my doors, not come close to people, put my mask on and wherever we go, point out all this stuff. Fear, right? But in that moment, like that's an opportunity. Any new challenge that arises is a decision
Yes.
to choose. Like, how
How
am I
you
going to
react.
think, speak, and act on this situation? Right? Because it starts with a thought, then we talk about it, and then we close the deal by acting on it, right? Now we have that same thought, word, deed formula. We're all doing it all the time.
Yeah, that's how you get by in life.
We're just doing it. Most people are running on autopilot, like I said.
Yeah.
But before we start with the thought, we have to think, where is this thought coming from? From fear-based thought or a love-based thought? See, that's the moment that we have to stop and make the decision, especially with these important things. Like, hold on, how am I going to start conducting myself and acting and talking to people?
Yeah, not just running a program that I know, like an easy program I can go to. I'll react right away.
Mob mentality. Following the herd, right?
Yeah.
But it's a decision. And I was listening to some speaker tape not too long ago, and he was breaking down the word decision. Now, the root of it is scission, right? And it's the same thing as an incision. It's cutting. We're cutting something right now. So the moment that we're faced with an outside
Incision
thing,
and a decision.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the act of cutting, right? Splitting in two. So right there, when the new challenge arises, the new COVID information arises, the new fucking hysteria arises, dilemma. We have to make a decision. We cut this thing in half. We split the hair, and we have to really choose. Am I gonna go and act on the fear? Am I gonna go and act on the love?
Yeah.
Right. And then with the love comes all the good things.
Yeah.
So it's honesty, integrity, gratitude, kindness, right?
Yeah.
Activity, zeal, right?
How sustainable do you think it is operating in that zone all the time?
I think it's very sustainable because what I've come to believe is that no matter what's, just like the person in that death camp,
Yeah.
how can they still be in paradise in their mind?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because no matter what they see,
Yeah.
even though everything around us is designed almost now, it feels like,
Yeah.
are intended to drive our fear through the roof. With that type of self-mastery, it doesn't matter ever what's going to be happening on the outside world.
Yeah.
You know, and by making these decisions, like, we need people to speak up, right? We need people to voice their opinions. That's what this club's about too.
Yeah.
You know, as much as it's just about having fun and being silly as well. But with that comes good feelings and loving feelings as well. Yeah. So it goes a long way. So even if somebody is up here, you know, talking about the current state of the situation, or somebody's just up there talking about, you know,
their penis,
dick and pussy jokes,
yeah.
the end result is
still the same. Yeah.
It's humor. It's love. People leave, right? And I've also come to realize that the more you fight something, the greater the problem becomes, right?
Yes.
So there have to be a balance and the harmony of that too. So do you want to like row your boat vigorously up the shore? Or do you want to row your boat gently down the stream?
Yeah, just go with it, right?
It's just, it's very easy to burn up foolish energy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yelling, screaming, this all fucked up.
Yeah.
Your serenity's fucked.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we say it. We gently row it gently, man.
That's
you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy because this whole thing has like stirred up so much emotion, and everyone, like us included, for sure. And I'm just trying to like now tune myself so that when I get confronted, because confrontation is not on a daily, like, or, you know, on a
it's
whatever
hourly
basis. Yeah, whatever it is, it's like, it's a lot, and I'm not used to that, obviously. Like, so it's like learning how to not react immediately out of emotion.
Yeah.
And not being like, oh my, it's take a breath and try to be like holy with it. That's what like homeboy Sandman was kind of portraying to us. Like, he's very holy with the no mask thing. Like, he goes through and he's really on point. And it's about getting to that.
I feel like the best way is, you know, like how you're saying, like just like with the mask thing, it's just like allowing things to be what they are, right? And just allowing people to run their own course, to know that what's happening in the minds of other people is none of our business.
Yeah.
And like, you know, a big thing that I've learned lately is when you see people who are, their minds are literally demented from the onslaught of information and hysteria. Now these people go out and become like these like justice warrior enforcers.
Yeah, it always swings one way or the other.
But
It's the same person.
But it takes a lot of
Yeah.
self-discipline to look at these people with compassion.
Yeah.
Even though they're coming at me saying, "Oh, I'm glad
Yes.
I'm leaving the store now because I didn't have a mask," right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this person is sick, man.
Yeah.
This person is. It's sad.
I know.
So how am I going to treat a sick person? You know what I mean?
I seen it. Yeah, I get it in that sense. I see when we go to the protests and stuff, you see it. Some people just like, again, man, you know, she doesn't do well with confrontation. I don't mind it because my lifestyle has permitted it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's fine. But it's really interesting when you see like just the way regular people do it, and I don't mean that in like a condescending way,
Derogatory,
just
condescending,
in a
yeah.
way that, you know, I'm a clown. I take a clown's approach to it.
Yeah.
So when you see regular people like at the protests, the way people pop off, there's a level of viciousness that's like very. Very unfortunate. I've never really seen it.
Yeah.
Like
the anger takes control.
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't not
And
to
to get that pointed at you is a lot. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, for doing fucking nothing, like for minding my own fucking business. And so that just brings out a side of me of that I don't like. Like I've just become very, but at the same time,
You
it's
feel
like, it's kind of
attacked.
healthy.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'm standing up for myself, and that is
Yeah.
a side of me that I need to bring out. If someone's like crossing a boundary, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's none of your business. Like, you know.
But it's like I get the Holocaust thing too. I see that now. Like again, I don't want to compare these things like it's the same thing. Like we're going, but just in the general perspective of it. I wasn't around for the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I didn't. But now I see there's similarities to the way life is maneuvering in the moment.
Yeah.
And now it's making sense of how life maneuvered then in those moments.
Sure.
Right? Where I can see, like, look, we have, not even here, but you got camps in Australia where they're locking people up, quarantining them for 20 days. A lot can go on in 20 days mentally, even to people, to
Yeah.
isolate people. A lot can happen in 20 days. And then you see that, and you see the way that people are kind of caught in those camps, modern day camps where you're only allowed to do a certain thing. And I get that. You go, I can see making the most of that. You got Netflix, you got life is still good. You're pissed off because you're getting trampled on, but life's not terrible. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're not strapping you on a table. They're not, doing open brain
Experiments.
surgery. I mean, I
yeah.
guess they're doing it in a technical sense. They're
Oh.
operating on a psychological
They're playing
level.
with our brain
yeah,
waves.
100%.
That's
But-
torture. It is torture too. It's like it's not great life either. It's not like it's just you're being held in a cage with a television.
Yeah.
No, I get it. It's
yeah.
not. It's not. They're tweaking prison, so it's not so
Yeah.
bad. It's
Yeah.
not so like, it's okay.
It's a condo.
Sells a
It's
little
your life.
bigger.
It's a
It's
ho-
yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that. But I've seen it, just in this level of like, yeah. The way that people get vicious with it is something that really kind of startles me too, because you go, again. I'm a white male.
Yeah.
I've lived the privileged life my entire life, according to everybody else. My life's been very blessed. I'm thankful. I'm happy with the life I've lived. But there's a level that, like you look at it now, again, not myself, but when you're looking, these people are walking around, these people are trying to fight for their freedoms, what they see that is trampled. And then when you see people attack, you go, man, this is no different. This is no different than the people that attacked black people in the 50s, the
Yeah.
people that attacked the Jews in Germany.
Yeah, because
There's-
they've been warped into believing that what they're doing is right,
Yeah.
and is
Right.
actually
Yeah.
virtuous, right?
Yeah. That's,
Yeah, so they think they're doing something
And
right.
on the same level of humiliation, that's because
Yeah.
it's never a conversation. It's not like, hey, I'm interested to know why you see this way and why I think you should hear me out. It's always this humiliation, these shame tactics, and
Yeah.
it's just funny, man. Because again, privileged the whole time. If people threw attacks at me, I had the ability to throw it back. That was. the profession, but to see it executed on regular people who don't have the same superpower to handle people in those situations, it gets tricky, man. It doesn't leave you with a lot of like positive feelings towards what can happen. And light went out. Towards what can happen in the future, like towards where we're headed. Are we gonna become more loving? I'm sure, like, again, I know that there's a balance. I know that, like, within all the chaos, you'll find good people that, that don't give a shit what you do or how you live life. They respect you as a human. More of that will come. But I wonder where it's going to head, man. And I wonder what role we play. Because I guess when life was easy, I didn't understand that role fully, of like what you put out and what people hear and what it resonates with people.
People often don't realize what they got till it's gone.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
yes.
like touching on like the whole privilege thing is how I was saying before is that I think in a spiritual way, I'm able to see it, feel privileged.
Yeah.
But in a very like factual way, like living, breathing way, I still firmly believe in our rights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get that confused for anyone.
yeah.
Like say, like, oh, this guy is just willing to say he's privileged. No, I'm privileged in this spiritual way of looking at things. This is a privilege to have the possibility to do these things. But on a like, as a citizen in a government relationship,
on a grander
this is
scale,
my goddamn right, man.
Yeah.
This is my God-given right. Sorry.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to like making those decisions, like I haven't been to a protest, but I know I protested in my awakened body everywhere I go. With the way I'm running this business, the way I approach my family, the way I live my life. Like even when I do wear a mask, I'm doing it more so just to ease and make someone else comfortable.
Sure.
So like there's been times where I'm like, no, I'm selling out on what I believe in. But then I stop and think, well, I'm only just doing this just to make someone else feel better. It's kind of dishonest in a way, being people pleasing, but like at least I know that I'm just trying to like, keep some peace amongst it. So I don't know how those protests go. I don't know if they're filled with anger, and I can see a lot of people being angry. You know what I mean?
It's filled with everything. The anger more comes from the external.
Exactly.
But
That's what I'm
again,
saying. Any type of anger or resentment or frustration that could be captured by like, media, it'll only be used against. Like my mom was so funny. She's like, please, okay, I understand you don't want to get vaccinated, but please don't become one of those protest people, And I'm like, what? Why? The ones who are standing up for your rights so that you don't become a prisoner and enslaved by like this whole system. You got to thank these people. They're not the bad people, but how are they portrayed in the eyes of the thinking minds of most people? It's like they're a problem.
I know.
But here's the thing about protests too. I'm reminded of like, when I watched the movie Gandhi, there was a moment where they were protesting against the British Army. And they had a peaceful assembly, and Gandhi said, no matter what, do not back down and keep the peace. And they literally, just like a row of these guys, like were just walking peacefully, and they were still massacred and murdered. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because why did the British Army have to slaughter these people? Because that's how powerful peace was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
so
the
it
only
really
way
is. The peace aspect, and coming at it in a peaceful manner, in a loving way, which seems like, well, who's going to pick it up if I do it like that? It is so much more of a threat to the establishment.
Yes.
So much more of a threat, which is why JFK was assassinated, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, fucking John Lennon. And I still have this theory too, that like all these people that like preach the love and the peace and the happiness and the sharing and the caring, their voices are so fucking goddamn powerful that most people did it through political means. President, public figures, speakers, which later become martyrs. And these people got assassinated, right? This person, this message of peace that they're and equality that they're preaching is dangerous to our ulterior motives of trying to control the society and be the ones on top of the pyramid, right? So they assassinate these people. And then you get John Lennon, and they assassinate him. And then boom, the world stops and goes, hold on, they're doing this to musicians now too?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I could see someone trying to be like, a government leader or whatever, all powerful, mighty people trying to get the power of the people. These are people get a but a singer?
Right.
And then what happens? The world goes, what the fuck is going on here? So now you can't preach a message of peace through song or art. They're trying to, but they knew, these powers, they knew that the world wouldn't have that. The world would fight back if they knew that by portraying a message of peace, love, and happiness through art, through the most peaceful means, not in this government way.
Yeah. Foot down.
That even they're in danger. So they had to learn real quick that they can't just start pinging off fucking musicians that have enough power to fucking change the world.
Yeah.
Which is why it's still my very firm belief that all the artists that died super young afterwards that portrayed that message of peace, I believe they were still all killed.
For sure.
Bob Marley injected with cancer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bill Hicks
man.
injected with cancer.
Yeah.
100%.
Kurt Cobain murdered. So
Dude,
they
for
can't. They
real.
had to do it in this roundabout way
I
where
know.
it's no longer we're just getting us Kurt Cobain assassinated, Bob Marley assassinated. It's too obvious.
Yeah.
It's too obvious to
Yeah.
everyone that you go harping up about all this happiness, joy, and love and peace and how free this fucking world can be. And money doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
The world's in debt to itself. How do we kill them? We have to do it in a roundabout way.
Yeah. Like the heart attack gun. That's a very real fucking thing.
What is
they
this?
use.
Say this again?
It's a heart attack
No,
gun.
don't bring up the heart attack gun.
It's true. And all the African presidents who are against the vaccine against masks all randomly had heart attacks. Like all the ones who were against
Yeah,
it.
so it's like
Michael
little bit
Jackson, a doctor.
There was an old
deaths.
there was an old 70s thing, FBI on the stand, like towards the head honchos,
Yeah.
and they're like breaking down this gun, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, what does it do? And they're like, it leaves no trace and basically leaves
it
someone
just
with a heart
shocks
attack,
the heart.
stops your heart.
Yeah, which is such a common
And
thing.
it's such
No
an
one would-
easy way to go, and there's nothing.
suspicious.
There's no marking. There's no, okay, this is where it entered. This, so it's a heart attack zapper gun thing, and they've had that for a while. And this was like from the 70s.
Crazy.
And then so even if you look at from just that point, let's say before that it was never a thing. If you look at it just from that point, and then you start looking at everybody that passed, every musician, everything, and
Yeah.
man, they've been doing.
And it's
this.
always the ones with the biggest messages.
I know.
The
Yeah.
greatest
because
ability of changing
man,
the
I
perception
see it
of
with
the
the
mass.
with the
Yeah.
algorithm of the algorithms of the phones. I've been, how long I've been screaming about this stuff, but even with the phones, they'll let you say anything hateful. Like if you want to attack somebody, some nobody on Instagram, no problem. It'll let you. The second you start asking questions, promoting some form of like
Ulterior agenda.
united thoughts or something, anything like that, your comments get flagged. They don't get posted. You get the chance to remove them.
Yeah.
But you go, man, fuck you. I think you're a moron, this and that. It'll
Yeah.
let that slide.
Oh,
It'll
because
be like,
you're hustling fear at
yeah,
that point.
yeah, exactly.
Good, man. That's what we
Yeah,
need more.
you're
We
a
need more
soldier.
chaos and stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's when it's a message that open up people's minds to a undeniable truth, you're flagged for sure.
Yeah.
See, that fucks me up too, man. Even what you were saying with like the power of fear, and it made me think of that Bill Hicks joke where he talks about fear and love.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
just a
only
ride.
two choices.
Mm.
You can get bigger locks on your door and all that shit. It just makes me chuckle because I think that, like, I try. To me, it's a scale. To me, it's a really fine scale. Thoughts are like, a scale for the day. What do you put more on the scale? Do you put more on the love or on the fear side of the scale?
Yeah.
Because it's inevitable. You walk across the street, you almost get hit by a car. It'll startle you.
Yeah.
A car horn will fucking honk you into a bit of fear, right? So it's just this balance of like, can I load up on more love than fear to flow in that? But then I think about like, even something as simple as locks on a door.
Yeah.
And that's something I almost like, just because of the conditioning that you're brought up in, I almost can't get rid of that. I can never do a door without locks.
Yeah. So, that conditioning takes a lot of diligence and hard work. I'm in the process of doing that on a day-to-day basis. And I think a lot of the root cause for that is that we're absorbed so much through our awakened state every day. And we absorb all these things, right? But we have, it's like the cliche angel and devil on our shoulder, okay? Living in the center of our mind.
There you go. Yeah.
Now, for the most part, most people, even the good people, the narrative that's the narrative that's happening in the subconscious mind is more often than not the devil's running the show
Oh yeah.
for most people.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I don't want to finger point on anyone. That's not what I'm here to do, but I could just talk about myself. And I was a slave to that devil. Okay, so put it like this. I live all day. I'm absorbing all this outside information and situations. And the devil inside is running that show the whole time. So then I go to bed, right? And then I wake up, and then think of like waking up like being born, right? Let's call it like your first thought. It's like original sin. Because if your mind is autopilot on, not on Jiminy Cricket, but on the devil, right? You wake up and the very first thing you think of is, number one, all the shit that you were discontent with the day before. And then the devil starts talking to you like, oh,
We
man,
got him already.
Yeah, we already got you with the very
Yeah.
first thought. Because
Yeah.
if the very first thought when you wake up is that original kind of sin, then the
Wow.
devil's like saying, hey, bro, oh, fuck, you've been sleeping. And I'm kind of like taking this from somewhere else. I've heard it, so I don't want to act like some sort of guru here. But you wake up and that thought happens, and the thought is driven by the devil. And the devil was saying, oh, man, we've been waiting for you to get up because we just couldn't wait to tell you how Sally in accounting has been fucking you over lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some shit like that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
So then you start to go on that, and then now you start to walk through your awakened state for the rest of the day,
day is
in
the
this
devil's.
deadly fucking
Yeah.
cycle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The anger builds, the resentment builds, the irritability, the fear, everything, right? It's every variation of fear that you could possibly think. There's not
Yeah.
that many. There's a long list, but it's not that
That's-
many different things, right?
Yeah, that's true, man. When you brought up that thing a week ago, a couple weeks ago, about the different types of love.
Yes.
That was very profound for me, man. Especially because again, that week I had heard that already, so it was very
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
Sierra said that too.
yeah.
So like, when you're operating from love, and it's those three different variations in a nutshell, it's erotic love.
That's the lowest form.
It's the lowest
Yeah, just
form of
easy
love, but
lust.
most necessary.
Lust,
And then you got brotherly, sisterly love, kindness, compassion, and then agape love, which is pure unconditional
Yeah.
love that gives without anything expectation in return.
But then in the balance of life, the opposite has to exist. So
Yeah, for
fear,
sure.
like you're just saying right
That's
now,
the
fear
beauty
has
of
to have
living, is
those
that you're given
different
the
levels.
choice, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of being a human being, is that, like, I mean, whatever constructed this entire fucking network and this spirit, definitely wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. But
It wants us to learn how to get there.
yeah, because
Yeah.
and it's not like some test, it's not some game, it's not some trick. It's just that's what adds to the beauty of it.
Yeah, yeah.
For if everything was just happy, joyous, and free, then there would be
It'd
no
be
appreciation
fucking
for it at all,
boring.
right? Nothing
Yeah.
to strive for in life.
Exactly.
So we have the ability of free will, right? So one way I found to combat it is before I retire at night, I reflect on the day and I try to pinpoint where fear was being in control and where love was in control.
yeah.
Now I try to really fearlessly, diligently own up to where I was acting on fear. And then
Yes.
if I just forgive myself for it, and I put my mind state in a state of love and reflect on what directions I could take to better or to right the wrongs of that day, then I have a chance.
Yeah.
I have just the chance, just by doing that evening reflection. Most people just go to
Yeah,
bed.
yeah.
Whether most of the time people are just really drunk or all
Zonked
messed up on
out.
something or high on TV or drugs or whatever the fuck, that they just go to bed with zero thought about all of what they were absorbing the entire day. What good was a day of life if there's no reflection, right? So then you reflect on it. You look where you were wrong. You look fearlessly for the ways you were trying to be. You acknowledge the things. Try to say, okay, well, I could do more of this. ask yourself for some direction on how to steer the next day. Then, like I said, you give yourself a chance for the next day. And the chance exists where then the next day, the first thought that you have, once you start doing this, it's a beautiful little practice. Because once you start doing this, you can acknowledge your first thought now. Before it just happened.
Exactly.
Autopilot. Get up.
Now you're in control.
Grab a cigarette. Do whatever. Feed the self.
Yeah.
But you know how many times since I started this practice, I wake up the next day and I could go, oh, yeah, they said this. Fuck them, her, this, that, she, this, that, whatever. And I'm going like, oh, man, that's this fucking liar inside of me that feeds off of fear. And now I'm able to stop and be like, okay, what am I going to do to live in a world full of love?
Yeah.
Start thinking like, okay. And often it starts with just like some self-care, right?
Yeah.
Loving
Yeah.
yourself. Starting the day by doing that.
Yeah, I start with saying thank you every single morning.
There you go.
Thank you. I'm grateful for this. I'm great, and I'll do something different every day.
Yeah, I always I do the
beautiful.
reverse of that. I never catch myself at night. I've been
Yes,
told it a
that's why
million
it
times, and it's very
begins at
hard.
night.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that,
You
and
can
that's
see
a
it now,
very
right?
that's very. Thank you. That's very profound.
Yeah,
because
it's easy.
because
It's-
the morning I try to do the exact same thing, but just every morning when I wake up, and I notice it right away. The mornings that I wake up and I don't acknowledge this, I don't try to be thankful for the day. I don't try to just. Man, there's so many ways I break it down. Even, but the days I miss, they aren't the best days in terms of how the rest plays out.
Yeah.
It's not the days with the nicest weather. Whether whether these things are correlated or not,
Yeah.
it's there. You skip a day and you're like, and there's fucking chaos and all this shit going on outside, weather, wind, rainstorms, all that shit, and you go, I missed it today. It's almost like the weather reminds me sometimes.
It's a
of like,
reflection,
hey
right?
man, don't keep it in mind. But the night I always cash out. Yeah,
we
it's
just
too
retire. And
yeah.
the day's done, out of my hands. If we don't pause to have that reflection, we eliminate the very slim chance we even had to begin the next day on the right foot. The first step out of your bed.
The
Yeah.
good side
Are
of
you
the
like
bed. Yeah.
grateful
Yeah.
or resentful? Like, come on, right?
Yeah.
It sounds so easy, simple, but not easy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Simple but not easy. And I've come to learn that. We're talking about this podcast revolves around freedom, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is more free than fucking any political message or whatever we could talk. This is like personal fucking freedom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think it's really on point. I'm like that. The conversation has got here. But what I've learned as well is that when we're not taking the time to be gracious and to practice all of the principles as human beings driven by love, the moment that we're not living in that love state, the devil is doing push-ups. So even when you're just sitting there and not even being thankful, I'm not even doing anything. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just sitting here being lazy. Lazy comes from fear. The devil inside is fucking like
Sloth, man.
chin
7
ups in the
deadly
prison
sins.
yard getting
Yeah.
ready to fuck you up.
Yeah.
Every minute that we're not living in that love state.
That's so funny, man.
It's true.
Seven
so-
Because
deadly
you'll
sins. That's one of
easier
them.
Oh,
sweep
man, they'll teach you
into
a lot.
sin.
Yeah,
You'll
for sure.
easier get swept away by
Yeah,
what
man.
comes by. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
And if you walk down the line of those 7 deadly sins, the last one is wrath for a reason. Because when it gets to that point, it's fucking wrath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck. Yeah. So it's just like spiritual freedom from this internal war that's happening inside your mind. It's happening in every single human. It has since the dawn of time.
I know.
Yeah.
But we're humans, right? We come from monkeys, right? We evolved from apes, right?
I think
That's a theory.
we've been here. I think
Yeah,
we've been
that's a
playing
theory.
this
Okay.
game
It's a
for a
theory.
long
Okay,
fucking
but either
time.
way, we
But
are more
yes,
similar
yes.
to apes than any other animal.
We're still all
Yeah.
connected.
Right?
We're
Yes.
still all there.
So why are we fucking living and acting like apes?
I think apes even live a little more free
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
we do.
exactly.
And
we have a
more
brain.
wise.
Yeah.
We have a brain. We are the most superior species on this planet. And as
Yeah.
far as we 100% no
So far, yeah.
so far, right? Why are we not using this fucking brain?
Yeah.
The brain is at work all the time. It's on autopilot, and most people have the autopilot setting on fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize that heaven and hell exists within each and every mind. It's
in your mind.
It's
it
here
all
and
in the
now.
mind.
Yes.
It's not
here
in
and
your
now.
external, like, once I get this house, I'll be happy. Once I get this whatever. It's how you portray
But
your
it's the way they
reality.
sell it too, right? They sell it that when you die, it's heaven or hell. This is the training
This is-
ground,
yeah.
and then when you die,
get your
but
prize.
really they're selling you a little short because it's here and now.
Yeah, they don't want you to live here and now. They want you to
if
do
you
nothing.
knew
be
that
good.
right now was heaven and hell, you may be a little less inclined to. Well, I mean, even religion, man. Religion's a beautiful thing. I think that I take it back. I said a lot of horrible things about it over the years. I take it back. I think it's a great thing, but I also do see the downfall to it, where it still works in the
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it tends to work in the vibration of fear.
Yeah.
You scare the people into believing in God. You scare them into
Yeah.
praying and coming to church and all that. Whereas it's not. I'm not even going to talk shit. That's not to say that there isn't those places that do it right, that work from a loving point of view, but just generally speaking, the foundation is almost like, well, what do we got to do to scare them into?
Yeah. So I remember walking past these two Muslim guys just having a chat in the street, and I stopped him and appreciated it after I talked to the guy, but I heard him, he's kind of like telling his friend about some lessons, that he's learned from his spiritual book, and all that stood out was just like, you have to understand that God is what you make of it, right? This idea, this concept of God, right, of a higher power is what you make of it. So if I sit here and I'm in fear and I say I have an angry, vengeful God that will punish me for my wrongs,
So shall
then
it
guess
be.
what?
Yeah.
So shall it be. That's my God.
Yeah.
But
You
if I sit
created
here
it.
and say I have a loving, caring, kind, forgiving God, then that's the God that I have.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, that's such a trip.
So
man.
that's why I believe in all religions
Yes,
and their
yes.
books, because they are. And I got this off the back of a car bumper sticker, and I love it. It was an acronym for the word Bible, Bible. Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Hey.
So they're very basic,
Yes.
Yeah.
simple,
Yes.
not easy. But in all three of these major books, right?
Yeah.
The Bible, the Torah, the Quran, right?
Yeah.
Got that right. That's all they are. The instructions on how to live a happy, joyous life,
You forgot Scientology.
free from misery, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But here's the instructions for everybody to know. But if I hold the instruction book, then you're going to get the instructions from me, because that's where the whole catch-22 comes, where unfortunately, certain major faiths, their, intentions get diluted, and,
There's even a need for it too, though, because man, if you
we're
imagine,
we're all a bunch of monkeys running
Yeah.
on fear. If somebody didn't control something along the way, there'd be a lot more hysteria than
For
there is
sure,
right
yeah.
now too, right?
because that's the
Sometimes,
other thing, man. Okay, you get the secret, call it the secret,
Yeah,
the code, the cheat code of life. You get it. You tell it to everybody, right? And
And look what they do.
yeah,
They
and
crucify
everybody
you.
will. Sure, they'll kill you, but then the way everybody runs around, that's how you end up with the wrath of God. Because some dude's running around with the secret with ill intentions, right? And he's on his part of the journey that never got him to that point where, he's right for the information. He's suited to know this much.
Yeah.
So you give everybody this power, and people will run wild with it. Not everyone, but someone out there will, man. And then you end up with.
But here's the thing too about this power, this knowledge, this understanding, or this secret instruction on how to live life, that it is based on love.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now if people are running wild with it, it might be easy to be like, well, people will misuse it.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works, because love creates and
Right.
fear destroys. So let them go run around loving everything. And what would be a great example of what that would look like? Fucking Woodstock.
Yeah.
And what followed immediately after? The war on drugs, right?
Yeah.
You
And
know,
Vietnam.
I don't want to sit here and like, promote fucking getting high to feel fucking peaceful love and happiness. But I mean, it really did in a lot of ways open the door and open people's minds to just like how joyous and that feeling is.
Yeah.
That they realize, if we have the whole world running, dude, I still believe in my heart of hearts that this entire globe could be a huge Woodstock.
I believe it
so
too, man. I truly believe that. I really do think that. And yeah, man, I try to do, my spiritual journey is kind of righting my wrongs of all the shit that I've said.
Well, that's all you can do, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I know.
All we can do is just write the wreckage of our own past.
For sure. And I
Always wanna
definitely
try to
feel
fix other
that.
people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
I definitely feel that. And man, that nighttime stuff is really going to stick with me.
Yeah,
I
man.
really appreciate
Pause
that.
and reflect at night.
Yeah,
Clear that day away. Sweep it up. You know what I mean? And a lot of it for me is just like the same. It's like the opposite end of it. It's just the same thing as how important it is to make your bed in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's the
Yeah,
same
I love
thing.
that.
Like having that reflection on night and dusting off, acknowledging, asking yourself how you can make it better.
Yeah.
Gives you a chance to have a good day the next day.
Yeah.
It's the same way that making your bed in the morning, that you make it to the best of your ability right when you get out of bed, because you just cleaned up the mess that you made while sleeping.
Right.
And you can step out from there on the good foot. Normally one good action leads to the next.
Yes.
When you follow your highest joy, it leads you to another highest joy and another highest joy, higher truth, higher love. And then you can go out and do all the best you can. But certain days are still going to be hard.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop outside things from coming to kind of,
To test your shit.
Yeah.
But you can end up having an actual bad day living in a fucking state of love. But if you have that bad day, when you get to bed at night, at least you get to go to bed into a nicely made bed. Which gives you what? It gives you the hope that tomorrow could be
a
okay.
better day, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like,
because you won't retract. Like
Yeah.
you'll obviously have dips and highs and stuff, but now you know what you know. So it's like you can, as long as you make those little improvements and just don't be
progress.
too hard on yourself.
people are too worried about perfection.
Yes.
Just progress.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
by little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hey, guys.
people could be a lot more freed than they could ever imagine. Now, with this current crisis and state of affairs that's happening in the world, it's harder than ever.
Definitely. But not impossible.
But not impossible.
But definitely not impossible. And I feel that's what really pushed me more so to finally do something else with my time, to use my words in this way, because I've lived so well for so long. And even during this whole time, man, I mean, we've spent so much time during this. We've nothing changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things got better even. We had more time, more free time. But you know, we stepped on some of the rules and we didn't, you know.
Yeah, we had to not listen to all the rules to make those times
to be able to make those times enjoyable and just, you know, good. So I'm thankful, but just seeing how many people didn't, how many people were affected, how many people, you know, just kind of.
I personally created my own personal hell
over
the course of the pandemic, over the lockdowns. Now, I had some really great experiences, but, you know, I'm one of these people, and I'm happy and grateful to admit it, that I created the worst hell that I have ever experienced in my life so far. And it was, you know what? It was a lot easier to do it because I could blame on COVID. I could blame on lockdown. I could blame on lose my business. But what good are these things if, I've said it before, what good are these challenges if we don't become better from it? Yeah. And I'm very lucky to say that before this lockdown ended, that I hit my rock bottom and I was able to start to correct it. And the beautiful thing is, you know, that I like to share with anyone is that no matter how far down that valley of darkness you've traveled, there's always a way back.
Yeah, to reach higher highs.
Oh yeah,
To reach higher highs, man.
sure.
You
And-
can't get so high on life. You can only reach certain levels in life, I think, if you've seen certain darkness.
Yeah.
If you've never seen a homeless person ever in your life, what would you really know about
the shelter, appreciating your shelter, things like that, right? So, like, no matter how far down the scope anyone's gone, there's always a way to start to correct it.
Yeah.
And the best way I could, like, help give any advice on being happy, joyous, and free is by just doing it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Because all of us have the power to do something, but merely for just one day.
Yeah.
Right?
The Groundhog Day, the same day over and over.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fix it, man. Tweak it a little better than the day
And the
you
one
remembered
day,
before.
It's the cycle stops
Yeah.
and liberation
And
comes,
life,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get it right.
That's
And there's
beautiful.
something, yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that's the test of it, right?
Yeah,
One
we're
good day, you get one perfect day.
Yeah.
And when you get that perfect day, you cash out.
You
man.
level up. You're like, all
they
right,
go,
new
all right,
level of the game.
Yeah,
you're moving on.
I like to think of it like that,
I had a friend that would always say the beauty of rock bottom is then the only way is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way is up. So
Yeah.
it's never a bad thing to be at that bottom. People
No.
really get so tough on themselves when they're there, but it's really that's the most beautiful place to be in any given moment because you go because after this, man, it's this way.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
stay at that bottom, but really, it's not going to get any worse. It's not going to, you lose your job, you lose this, you lose that, you lose it all. You're at bottom.
Yeah.
Man, now you got-
So talking about that rock bottom, that dead end, let's say, I posted this picture yesterday. You noticed it online. And if anyone knows the movie, The Truman Show, right? It's a great movie in so many ways, but I posted this picture of the very end of the movie. Spoiler alert. Truman realizes he's living in this world that it's not fulfilling his soul, his desire. He needs more. Now, in a nutshell, if you don't know the movie, he lives in this bubble and the entire world is built just for this one guy. And there's people, it's become a TV show, and there's people kind of steering and directing his life into,
The man on the moon is
Right?
directing his life.
Yeah, exactly. The man on the moon. And it's played by Ed Harris,
Yeah.
and he's quote unquote the like analogy of what God
He's
is.
God, yeah.
But Truman isn't fulfilled, and he travels as far as he's ever gone in his life physically in this dome, and he even traverses like stormy seas.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
he faced his biggest fear.
Because his fear was implemented when his father was killed out in a sea boat
Which was
accident.
a story they told him.
Which is a story that they told him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, long story short, he goes into the very end of the dome, and what looks like a cloudy skies, it's a wall, and there's a staircase, and that's the dead end. Right? Sometimes we go so far and go through every single fear that we have, and even create our own hell, and know that there's something more than this. So you get to that dead end, and if you're willing to knock, right, then you can knock and you can
And
see
the
a
door
door
will
opens
open.
up. And outside of that door is literally
entire
everything.
world.
It's an
Yeah.
entire world of freedom, happiness. You know what I mean?
Unconditional love. It's all
Unconditional.
there.
And chaos and crazy shit too.
Yeah, for sure. But like now, when you go out, when you meet that chaos and crazy stuff,
It's a new.
I know how to deal with it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I know how to inherently know how to deal with situations that would used to baffle me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you conquer your biggest fear, what's after that? You can handle anything.
Yeah.
Like I faced my biggest demon.
Yeah.
What else could you give me?
Yeah, and I think it's very hard. I'm very lucky and grateful for the way that I got to my my rock bottom. But once you get to that place, and it's different for everyone, I mean, you're not gonna really see what your liberation is until you are honestly able to look at just how you were responsible for every last little problem that ever happened in your life. You know, and sometimes it takes being really hard on yourself, but once you understand how you contributed to the sickness of your life, of your freedom, only then can you start
Get
to
a chance to get out.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right? Like, how can I fix a problem if I don't believe I have one,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Most people, it's very hard to take a look, dark, long look in the mirror and be like,
Yeah.
yo, you're selfish. Nobody wants to think they're selfish, right?
Yeah, everyone wants to think they're selfless
Yeah, right?
without
So,
a self. Yeah.
yeah, man.
But we all have these things, like every single one of us has to look at ourselves. We're all at one point or another have faced these things about ourselves that we weren't proud of or we didn't like, but it just takes like that kind of recognition, and don't be scared because we all do it, and it's okay. It's okay to be a mess. It's okay to fuck up. It's okay to do a shitty thing.
Yeah.
But as long as you can look at it and don't be afraid and love yourself anyways and forgive
And
yourself.
understand that there'll be more, I guess.
Yeah.
Understand there'll be more of those days.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So you don't beat yourself up over the bad days.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you'll sure be able to handle those bad days with a clearer mind when you're already operating in this higher state, right?
Exactly.
Because
She's
they're
like,
gonna
I've been here
happen. Like,
before.
so you know how many people find like spiritual liberation and happiness, and then 2 years later, their kid gets whacked by a car. Well, if they were still the person that they were before, they might be committing suicide or taking it out on the world or whatever.
Wow.
So there's still going to be lulls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Life still
absolutely.
happens
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah.
But it's always about how we deal with life, right?
There's beauty in the suffering, which is very hard
Yes.
to. It's hard to comprehend because everybody's under the impression, and we all push the idea that like, there should be no suffering.
Yeah.
Nobody
yeah.
should suffer,
No,
but
it's
there's.
very necessary.
But it's
Yeah.
it's a necessary.
It's our
it's
biggest
not even
teacher.
evil, but yeah.
our biggest teacher, yeah, and our past is our greatest adversary too, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. A lot of
Uh,
people spend their whole life trying to run away from their dark past, right?
Do you ever get that feeling like the Truman Show was more real than it wasn't? Like that the focus of life is on you and
Yeah, I think we're all living in our
In our
on this
own
planet
Truman.
right here. Everyone has their own Truman Show going on right now.
Yeah.
When I used to get all fucking whacked out on drugs, I'd be like, it's all meant for me. But I think everyone has that exact same.
everyone
experience.
has everything that's meant for you is meant for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
and
we're
mine
all
is meant for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, you're all the centers of our own universes,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it all is for you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really true. But everyone gets that, so it's not just you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's
it's a fair-
going
it's
through
a
the
sweet
same thing.
deal.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
best. It's the best.
You
Yeah,
get to be
we're co-creators, coexisting all at the same time, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
This thing called life.
Yeah, man. And I think it's a lot more beautiful than it has to be, even in like the craziest fucked up times. What can we be grateful for right now? That this whole pandemic is not the equivalent of hearing about how many 100 soldiers got murdered on a daily basis. There's nobody knocking. There's no army walking down the streets right now. Like, let's just stop to be thankful for these things. And right now, okay, I have a limited capacity at the club, but I'm thankful that I'm even operating. I can surround myself with the people, places, and things that I love very much. Right?
Yeah.
Did you find beauty in that when the club opened up? Did you see did you notice how many people were just like the regulars from the old clubs?
Oh yeah,
just jacked
everyone.
up
The
that you
first
were
few,
back.
like just now, we're starting to attract new customers, which is great through advertising. But the majority of people that have been coming are all just people that they're all saying the same thing. Whoa, this is the best location so far. I'm so happy you guys made it through the pandemic. I missed you guys so much. The sentiment is just very, very rewarding, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's so happy that it's here. So, it's another thing to be grateful for. I'm just like this means something to people,
Yeah.
They want to hear it.
Yeah.
And they want to hear what the comics have to say, and they want to come out and have good times. And I don't know if it's just the type of people that we attract, or maybe just people that want to go to stand up in general are typically of the mindset that they're more like fuck the rules anyway, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Exactly.
because what else are you laughing at? There is funny in obeying, but it's not the same humor.
No.
It's
It's just being against the grain, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, the grain is typically the big narrative that's being pushed. So most people have it in them. They want to.
But this time the
Question
grain,
things.
this time the grain is a bearded lady.
Yeah.
And so even to go against the grain is taboo. Can't make fun of the lady's beard.
Oh, I know what you mean.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, we just got to persevere and just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. Yeah, what else is there to do? Fucking.
Just fueling things with good intentions, right? Mm-hmm. And I think for me right now, on the topic of freedom, I mean, I can go on for hours about all these other little things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But,
I mean, we have no limit, but also there's a limit.
I just feel like the most important way to experience freedom is in yourself first, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then all
Important.
things ripple out from that.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You know, the world will always be a reflection of what was happening going on inside of us, right?
Yeah.
No matter what. If we're angry, irritable, discontent, we're just going to be like finding more reasons to feel that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Exactly.
I'm not only just finding, I'm going to be actively seeking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I can get caught in it too, but I have to understand that I have to like decide in each passing moment, what am I going to give my energy to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. What's my magnet going to attract today? Is it going to be love or is it going to be fear or,
Yeah. I know,
annoyance,
yeah.
whatever?
I mean, even love will attract fear. Love will. You
Well, I
get
heard
too
this cool
loving.
thing before where it's just like people are in fear that they'll never find true love, right?
Ooh.
But the second that they find true love, they instantly begin fearing that they're going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you're given the love, we still operate. So it's that cunning, right?
Yeah.
It's that elusive. Think about that. I'm never going to find someone I can share my love with. I find that special person. I'm going to lose her.
Yeah.
Fuck, you never stop to smell the roses,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's funny, man.
Some profound shit.
Yeah, we might as well just cap it there,
I
man.
think it was really good
It
talk.
was,
That was
yeah,
good,
yeah,
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
beautiful. Well said.
Yeah.
But just going forward, man, do you want to say anything? Do you want
Promote
for
the-
anybody that's listening? What do they do? What do
Okay,
you want
please visit
them to-
thecornercomedy.com.
Yeah, man.
Purchase your tickets in advance. We have killer lineups, killer comics, such as Kevin. He's a regular at the club. The biggest way you could support love, I think, for me, would be to come and contribute your time, your energy, and whatever you can spare in your bank account to this business, because this is a factory for that shit, and we intend for everyone to come here to feel welcome no matter who they are, and to feel like they're in a very free and liberating place, because that's what this place is.
And you even got the wheelchair thing. We can, you can
and
literally
I don't
put in
harp on this
everyone.
enough.
Man.
I have
Yeah,
a wheelchair accessible,
yeah, that's
Yeah,
big
that's
for
huge.
if you have that kind of that necessity, we're here happy to oblige and accommodate. Everyone is actually welcome.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Yeah.
right?
Such good vibes here. Like,
Yeah.
But you might get
Always.
made fun of also.
Yeah. Well, you can get made fun
Be
of for any
content with
reason
that.
here.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so supporting the club is the greatest thing you could do for me and for the comics, to diligently voice your freedom by coming out to the Corner Comedy Club. But yeah, just being kind and considerate. And when people, my final message is when people in your world, whether they be strangers, families, or friends, or employers, or pupils, or coworkers, that throw you off your course and try to fuck up your serenity, stop and realize that there might be something inside of this person that has caused them to become very sick in some way. Whether it be mentally, physically, or spiritually, and just try to treat people with compassion. Treat people who you think are sick in the head the same way that you would treat someone who was sick in a hospital bed. And I think you'll start to alleviate a lot of your own stress if you do that.
That's beautiful,
wise
man.
words. Good
Thank you, man.
advice.
Thank you for sharing your time, your spirit, your
Yeah,
energy.
Thanks
with
for
us.
having me on,
Joe.
guys.
Thank
awesome.
you.
I love you guys. Okay.
I love you too.
Love you.
Okay. Peace.
Peace, peace.